Hello and welcome. This is Anna from Real Estate Career HQ. If you're thinking to become a real estate appraiser, not only that you need to take the pre-licensing courses, but you also need to pass a real estate appraiser exam. This is to ensure that you have the necessary knowledge and skills to properly appraise a property. Since there are different appraiser licenses, there are distinct exam requirements for each license level. To help you get a better understanding of the exam, we found some sample questions through different sources. My colleagues and I will go over them in this video. I'm confident this will be helpful to you in preparing for the real estate appraiser exam. A fee appraiser seeks to get on the approved list for a local mortgage company. In order to be considered for approval, the lender requires appraisers to provide sample appraisal reports performed within the past year. Can the appraiser provide the reports without violating uniform standards of professional appraisal practice? A. No, unless the appraiser secures a release from the client of each sample appraisal report. B. No, the ethics rule prohibits appraisers from soliciting appraisal work. C. Yes, if all essential elements of confidential information are removed through redaction or the process of aggregation. D. Yes, an exception to the confidentiality section of the ethics rule permits an appraiser to provide appraisal reports to a lender for this purpose. The correct answer is C. Yes, if all essential elements of confidential information are removed through redaction or the process of aggregation. There are times when an appraiser may need to provide prospective clients with examples of past appraisal reports for an assignment. According to the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, confidentiality section of the ethics rule, when all confidential elements of confidential information are removed through redaction or the process of aggregation, client authorization is not required for the disclosure of the remaining information as modified. The owner of a self-service car wash has a $900,000 self-amortizing, 25-year mortgage at a 9.25% interest rate, payable monthly. The loan must be paid off after 10 years. What is the amount of the balloon payment due at that time, rounded to the nearest $1,000? A. $540,000. B. $833,000. C. $808,000. D. $749,000. The correct answer is D. $749,000. A shopping center has direct costs of $2,500,000. Indirect and soft costs are equal to 10% of direct cost. Entrepreneurial profit is estimated to be 15% of hard and soft costs. What is the replacement cost of the shopping center? A. $3,125,000. B. $3,162,500. C. $2,875,000. D. $2,750,000. The correct answer is B. $3,162,500.
What interdependent economic factors create value? A. Amenities, assemblage, scarcity, and effective purchasing power. B. Utility, scarcity, desire, and plottage. C. Amenities, plottage, desire, and supply or demand. D. Utility, scarcity, desire, and effective purchasing power. The correct answer is D. Utility, scarcity, desire, and effective purchasing power. According to urban statistics, a product or service must have utility, desire, scarcity, and effective purchasing power to have a monetary value. These are called the factors of value and represent the fundamentals of demand and supply. Value for a product is not inherent by the product itself, but rather determined by consumers individually. When many consumers see the product with similar factors of value, a market is formed. Buyers only exist if they see monetary value for a product or service. Monetary value requires all four factors of value together. The more desire for a use, the more its value is limited by effective purchasing power and its scarcity. A 50-unit apartment complex is being appraised. The appraiser is calculating the appropriate annual replacement reserve allowance. Several items are new, but were determined to have useful lives shorter than the physical structure. The appliances are $750 per unit, the roofs are $200,000, and the clubhouse furniture is $11,000. The appraiser believes management can earn a safe rate of 4.5% on their reserve funds. What average annual reserve per unit must be allocated in order to take care of the short-lived items, assuming they must be replaced every 7 years and have no salvage value? A. $620. B. $560. C. $770. D. $710. The correct answer is A. $620. What type of lease is most advantageous to a lessor in a rising expense market? A. Base year stop. B. Triple net. C. Modified gross. D. Gross. The correct answer is B. Triple net. According to Investopedia, the triple net lease absolves the landlord of the most risk of any net lease. This means even the costs of structural maintenance and repairs must be paid by the tenant, in addition to rent, property taxes, and insurance premiums. Because these additional expenses are passed on to the tenant, the landlord generally charges a lower base rent.
An appraiser has developed an appraisal of a single-unit dwelling that is currently occupied by tenants. Although the subject zoning is currently residential, the appraiser estimates that due to the rising price of commercial land along this street, the subject will be purchased for commercial development within 2 to 3 years. What term describes the current use of the property? A. Non-conforming use. B. Speculative use. C. Interim use. D. Special purpose use. The correct answer is C. Interim use. According to Appraisal Institute, the new definition proposed of interim use is a temporary use to which a property or a portion of a property is put until a more intense future use of the same property is identified and supported by market data and market analysis. Interim uses contribute to highest and best use decisions as well as property value for a finite period of time. In the appraisal of a cooperative ownership, what property rights are valued? A. Leased fee. B. Fee simple. C. Partial interest. D. Life estate. The correct answer is C. Partial interest. According to Investopedia, a housing cooperative or co-op is a type of residential housing option that is actually a corporation whereby the owners do not own their units outright. Instead, each resident is a shareholder in the corporation based in part on the relative size of the unit that they live in.
During the research of a subject property, an appraiser learns the occupants, which are the parents, have been granted a life estate by their children. What interest do the children hold in the property? A. Remainder man. B. Life tenant. C. Trustee. D. Trustor. The correct answer is A. Remainder man. The remainder man is the person who inherits property after the termination of a life estate. For trust accounts, the remainder man receives the remaining principal after the estate has been distributed. A remainder interest is a future interest a person has in an asset. A remainder man can exercise their right to use and hold property in a trust, but first, the trust must be dissolved. The life tenant can sell inherited property with the remainderman's consent. The subject property is a 10,000 square feet office building encumbered by a full-service lease with a contract base rent of $1.25 per square feet monthly. Stabilized vacancy and credit loss allowance for similar properties within the market area is 7% of PGI. The operating expense ratio for similar properties is 30% of EGI, plus reserves for replacement of 15 cents per square feet. Based on these facts, what is the projected net operating income? A. $97,650. B. $93,000. C. $96,150. D. $94,500. The correct answer is C. $96,150. The assignment is a warehouse located in an industrial park. The client requires the cost approach be completed. There are no vacant land comparables in the market area. There are 3 sales of commercial buildings in the industrial park with similar lots that the appraiser has researched extensively. The appraiser found the following information. Sale 1 sold for $1,750,000. The buyer allocated 20% of the value to the site and 80% to the value of the structure. Sale 2 sold for $1 million. The buyer was not available for verification, but the seller was available. The seller had just built the structure after holding the lot for 10 years as an investment property. He paid $100,000 for the lot and had earned 25% straight-line annual return on his investment over the cost of the structure and its entrepreneurial profit. Sale 3 sold for $3,500,000. The buyer estimated that 90% of what he paid was for the structure. What is the indicated value of the lot using the allocation approach? A. $350,000. B. $500,000. C. $135,000. D. $125,000. The correct answer is A. $350,000. The allocation method of appraising land is a technique of appraising land in which the appraiser collects information about the site values of comparable sales and establishes a ratio between the site value and the total value. The ratio is then applied to the subject property. The allocation method land appraisal assumes that similar houses in similar locations have a similar land-to-value ratios. The procedure is: locate a comparable neighborhood with house sales and vacant lot sales. Determine the ratio of the land value to the total property value. Apply the ratio to the subject property to determine the land value of the subject. The allocation method should only be used when there are insufficient comparable sales to estimate the site value by the sales comparison approach to value. Allocation is usually more reliable when the improvements are relatively new. As the improvements age, the land-to-property ratio increases. Remodeled older improvements may distort ratios when compared to non-remodeled older properties. A homeowner purchased 2 adjacent lots in a tract subdivision 20 years ago and built a single-unit residence entirely on one lot, utilizing the second lot as a side yard. The homeowner has decided to build a smaller home on the vacant side lot and retain the existing home as a rental. What term applies to the second yard? A. Surplus land. B. Vacant site. C. Excess land. D. Underutilized site. The correct answer is C. Excess land. Excess land may be sold off separately from the rest of the property, so in effect, the subject property becomes 2 subject properties. Excess land may have a different highest and best use than the rest of the site. The excess land should be described in the description section, and it must be addressed in the highest and best use analysis. Further, excess land will have to be treated separately in the valuation process. an entirely different set of comparable data may be required. The value of excess land must be reported separately. Be careful about adding the value of the excess land to the value of the rest of the property, as the sum of the parts may or may not equal the whole. The subject assignment is to appraise a 1880s vintage house using the cost approach. The house has metal stamped ceilings, lath and plaster walls, which are items not easily available in today's construction. The estimated replacement cost using modern materials is $120 per square feet. Contractors charge $15 more per square feet to work on older houses. The estimated reproduction cost is $185 per square feet. What is the estimated loss in utility? A $65 per square feet. B. $33 per square feet. C. $80 per square feet. D. $15 per square feet. The correct answer is A. $65 per square feet. While working on an appraisal of a residential property in a new home subdivision, the appraiser finds that the builders have a total of 100 home sites currently offered for sale. In measuring market demand, the appraiser notes that all of the builders are currently averaging 2 new sales contracts per month, combined, and are expecting to sell 24 homes within the next year. What conclusion could be drawn with regard to the 100 available home sites and a market period of the next 12 months? A. The market is in a condition of supply and demand. B. The market is in a condition of balance. C. The market is in a condition of oversupply. D. The market is in a condition of undersupply. The correct answer is C. The market is in a condition of oversupply. The law of supply and demand dictates the equilibrium price of a property. A low supply or housing inventory may drive prices up, which is what tends to result in bidding wars. On the other hand, when a weak economy and an oversupply of properties leads to low or no demand for housing, the prices of houses tend to fall.
So these were some of the sample questions we found. If you would like even more sample questions, you may find them on our site. In there, you will also find out the passing rate of different level of appraiser licenses and tips to increase your passing rate. So be sure to check it out. Once again, this is Anna from Real Estate Career HQ. I hope you find this video helpful, and I'll see you next time.